What's going on, y'all? And welcome back to the No Look podcast. We're back, man, and we got a great episode. Got Mike Nice joining me from Double M. You already know Double M's finest, and we do what we do best, and that is talk Celtics. So we break down a little bit of the Drew move. We talk about what's going to happen in training camp, what we're looking to see in the preseason, and what the roster outlook is like. So it's good chopping it up, my brother. Then after that, we do our top 18 to 15 list. So 19 and 20 was Paul. Whoa, 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 whoa. 19 and 20 was Bi and Kyrie, respectfully. I almost slipped who's going to be number 18. So you just got to stay tuned and listen to that. Outside of that, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm pretty pissed off. As a Patriots fan right now, things are tough. Things are really tough for me. Um, we're 1-3. Our offense sucks. No line, no weapons. Quarterback is horrible. Everyone in the news is talking about Bill Belichick and his legacy. Our star cornerback Gonzalez out for the season. Get better, man. Matthew Judon, our probably best other defender, gone for the season. Get better, Judon. We just traded for J.C. Jackson, who did not pan out with the Chargers, but had a breakout season with us here in New England. But it's not looking good. I think I might have to come on here. I know this is mainly a hoops party, but I might have to come on here and talk some Patriots, man. Let my frustration out, because this ain't it. This ain't it. But for now, we're gonna focus on the C's. Got Mike Nice with me. And now I'm here with, you already know who it is, man. It's Mike Nice is in the building. You guys are going to see him a lot here on the No Look, because this is what we do, bro. This is what we do best, is talk sports, talk Celtics. So, man, I appreciate you taking some time and chatting it up with me, dog.
No doubt, bro. It's always love for sure when we hop on these platforms, and it's always a good time talking sports. So it's what we do, just like you said.
Yeah, man, we kind of cheated. We damn near talked about everything we wanted to talk about prior to the show, because this is what we already do. But
Yeah.
let the listeners know pretty much. You heard the Drew Holiday news. Malcolm Brogdon's gone. Robert Williams. What were your initial reaction? What was your initial reaction to the Drew Holiday news?
Initial reactions were, so long, Rob. I ain't gonna miss you. I'm sorry. I know people
Damn.
love Rob, but like I told
Damn,
you, I
Mike.
told other people, you could find another Rob Williams just like that. The only reason why people feel some type of way is because he's been here, 5-6 years. So people have that.
Homegrown.
Yeah, homegrown talent. People have that emotional attachment. But if you look at what he brings to the table, you could find another Rob Williams just like that. Brogdon, I enjoyed his time here. I know people hate how he played in the playoffs, but I think we upgraded. I think the Celtics definitely upgraded by getting Drew Holiday on this roster. You look at a guy that he's essentially replacing, and a lot of people believe he's replacing Marcus Smart in terms of what he'll bring to the table, especially on the defensive side of things. I do feel as if you have a guy who can take a lot of smart shots, and that's no knock on Marcus Smart, but I feel like you have a guy who just a smarter basketball player out there, especially on the offensive side of the basketball. And I do feel as if he'll complement Jason and Jaylen very well, and possibly even Porzingis. I feel like he fits right into what Brad Stevens is trying to build with this team. And in terms of what I think Joe Mazzulla wants to do in terms of how he wants the offense and possibly defense to look, I think he fits right in. So it was a no-brainer in terms of if you could go get Drew Holiday and you can make that trade happen, make it happen. And as much as I felt like the Celtics didn't have much of a chance because there are a lot of contending teams that wanted that guy, Celtics made it happen. Shout out to Brad Stevens. I think he's done a hell of a job, but it's a good thing for the Celtics to have a guy like Drew Holiday on the roster, and I see great things coming ahead as long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah, my last episode, I was talking about how, I'm impressed by what this front office is doing with Brad Stevens, and we just saw the press conference with Drew, them welcoming in Drew, And from general manager to the higher ups, they're pretty much saying, yo, we're doing whatever the hell it takes. We don't care about no second apron. We know all the rules you guys are making. We're gonna pay the tax. We're trying to win banner 18. He would I think the line was bring the banner or die, something that drastic
Yeah.
that got said here. So they're trying to go all in. And the Celtics are making all the right moves, it looks like, this offseason to do so. Obviously, it hurts losing a Smart, a Brogdon, Robert Williams, and such. But and Grant, I always forget to mention Grant. It hurts to see those guys go, but I'm in agreement with you. Celtics got a lot better. So is this a championship team?
That's the $1 million question right there. Is this a championship team? Uh the jury's still out. I thought last year could have possibly been a championship team. I thought the team
Yeah.
before that could have possibly been a championship team. So for the most part, in this current era of Celtics basketball, whether it's been Brad Stevens as GM the last couple of years, and even maybe his last year as the coach. But as they transition into Brad Stevens as GM, and they gone from Mazzulla, and even the Celtics have been putting together championship teams over the last couple of seasons, teams that look like they can get over the hump and get it done. And with all the moves that have taken place, I don't think this year is any different in terms of looking at this team and feeling like, yo,
I mean,
they
it better
have,
be different.
huh?
I said it
I
better
mean,
be
yes, you
different.
you you want it to be different in terms of getting the job done, but it's
Yeah.
no different in terms of the fact that, like, look, they went all out this offseason to try to put together a really good basketball team. Um, Going back to what I was saying previously, Brad Stevens was kind of cutthroat this offseason. Like, you had those core group of guys in terms of Smart and a little bit of Grant and Rob Williams who were there. And for the last 2-3 seasons, those guys paired up with Jason and Jaylen, they weren't able to get the job done. Despite whatever you want to say in terms of change of coaches and however you want to look at it, the job wasn't able to get done and banner 18 wasn't secured. Brad Stevens went into this offseason. You brought in an all-star in Porzingis. You brought in an all-star in Drew Holiday. And then you added some pieces to the bench, which we'll get into a little bit later. But at the end of the day, you still have two all-star, all-NBA players leading this team. On top of that, I believe they put together a very solid coaching staff around Joe Mazzulla. Bringing in
Right.
Sam Cassell, in my opinion, is huge. You couldn't have done anything else in terms of coaching and looking at who can you have there to support Joe Mazzulla. Somebody like Sam Cassell is very important to this team, and I know they have a couple other guys there that have been around and coaching for a little bit. So he's not surrounded by guys who maybe they're just carryovers from previous regimes. Like, he has a good group of guys there. So I look at this team and I say, look, there's no reason why they should not be playing basketball late in April, going into May, going into June. Like, they should be right there contending absolutely once again.
No, I like that. I like how you brought up even Mazzulla. This is his second year now.
Yep.
He has to take in himself a leap into being more comfortable, being able to be leaders of men. And now these guys are coming in, understanding that Mazzulla is their coach, understanding that they got to buy into whatever system he's trying to run. I listened to a little bit of Mazzulla earlier today. He was on JJ Redick's podcast, and for the most part, he was saying all the right things. He seemed more confident. Obviously, it's been well documented how we felt about Mazzulla last year, Mike, and we pretty much we shitted on him bad like last year,
Absolutely.
and some of
Absolutely.
some of it, some of it warranted, some of it unwarranted, due to the fact he was just thrown into that space. But one thing that I loved hearing was Mazzulla wanted Sam Cassell. He wanted why am I'm blanking on the
Guy
coach's
from
name
Milwaukee, right? Coach
from
from Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
I don't remember his name either, but I
I'm
know he came
blanking
from
his name.
Budenholzer.
What
I think he's
what
from
what
Budenholzer.
we'll place his name somewhere over here. But
Gotcha.
but without he wanted to get those coaches in here. And he wants those veteran coaches because he knows he needed that help. I loved hearing that. Another thing I love hearing is, so you see Mazzulla, I mean, you see Paul Pierce at training camp right now. Missoula hit up all the veterans, all former Celtics veterans. He hit them up and was like, "Yo, come to training camp, come to practice. We'd love for the guys to see you." And then what's his name? Your boy Sullinger. Sullinger just tweeted like, "Yo, that's 100% facts. He did reach out." So it's like even that going that step and being like bringing Celtics veterans to come in. You see that Pierce was with Tatum all summer. I love the feeling of this year going into it. You don't really see this in other. Yeah, you see this in college. All the alumni will come back to college and rep their teams and stuff. You don't really see that in basketball and professional basketball culture. So it's really cool to see that Missoula is trying to bring that type of leadership and chemistry to the team.
Yeah, I think whenever you can have veteran players, especially guys who have such a prominent role with the organization, come back and lend an assisting hand and just be vocal with the team, a young team, it's huge. It's always going to be huge. I love, like you said, seeing Paul Pierce there. And I know I've been saying, and I think on KG's podcast, when he had those guys on their last season, I think Pierce talked about KG need to come back too, and
Yeah.
hopefully that'll happen this season, and maybe Rondo pull up. Rondo got a job right now. Ray Allen, like I hope these guys pull up and want to be supportive of this team, because at the end of the day, yeah, that's great for any team having old guys come back, but we know as Celtics fans with this team, sometimes it seems like they're lacking that voice, that
Yeah.
leadership. And obviously, we believe this year with Missoula having a second year, now going into a second year and having a voice like Cassell, that's great and all. And I'm absolutely happy with that. But having guys like a Pierce show up, or hopefully a Garnett or Rondo, like having these guys pull up, this team in particular with this core group of players, they need that. And I say core, but Smart and those guys are gone. Jason and Jaylen need that, because I've said this a million times over and over again. As great of players they are, all-star players, all NBA players, their leadership style is slightly different. And I know in media day they kind of both hinted to the fact that maybe this year I got to be a little bit more vocal. Maybe this year my voice needs to be heard. Sounds good. It's media day, but like,
Yeah.
it's your personality. We've seen it 6-7 years, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever now. And obviously the teams have been different. Me and you were talking earlier, like they went from not being the guys to being the guys to like they've had a different kind of roles with the team. But especially in the last couple of years, you would want their voices to be heard more. And it seems like they're just not like that. So as great a player they are, if you get a former Celtic player to come in and just be that extra voice for them in the Auerbach Center and maybe in the locker room at the TD Bank, I think it's huge, and it'll continue to be helpful for these guys as they continue to grow. Because at the end of the day, at year 6 and year 7, it's crazy to think, but these guys, Tatum and Brown, what, 25, 26 years old?
Yeah.
So they've been through a lot, but if you really look at it, they got a lot more to hopefully go in terms of their career and hopefully in Celtics green. So you just want to continue to see hopefully development in their leadership skills. And if guys can come back and lend a helping hand to bring that out of them, so be it.
Yeah. It's like obviously when Marcus left, right? The biggest conversation was, damn, who's going to step up as the leader, or who's going
Yep.
to talk. And my whole thing was always, sometimes that's a good thing. When there's a void, and Jaylen Brown kind of said in his press conference too, but when there's a void in the room, it gives you now the opportunity to take over that void. Like for me, for example, knowing who I am, if I walk into a room, there's already alphas there and they're yelling or whatever, they're being, I won't be that guy. I will never step on someone's toes. I'm someone who just likes to, I'll set back. However, if they were to leave or they were to be gone and that role need to be taken, I'm taking it. I would step up and do it, no problem, but I wouldn't want to step on anyone's toes. And so that's just my personality in a sense. And I feel like hopefully JBJTC that's like, yo, Grant's gone. Marcus Smart is gone. We are the best players on the team. We have no choice. We
Yeah.
have no choice. Don't matter if Sam Cassell is in our ear. Don't matter if Joe Mazzulla is in our ear. Pearson, KG could come and watch every single game courtside. At the end of the day, it comes down to us.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
what are we going to do about it? So I'm in agreement with you. I hope that they can really be that guy. JB, he alluded it more than JT. Like, yo, who said I won't be?
I mean, we always knew it
be
was more JB, if anything. If it was, we have to choose between one of the two. It always seemed like it might be more JB than anything.
That's true. Speaking of JB, real quick before we move on, there's a video trending right now. There's a video trending right now on our boy JB. He's just minding his own business in the sideline, dribbling a basketball with his right, and then when he moved it to his left, it looked shaky. It looked a little shaky.
He's
And
trolling us. He's trolling
just,
everybody.
people like,
He's
oh
trolling.
damn, this man ain't work on his left at all.
He's trolling everybody. You know the camera's behind him. Let the people think that he got a fumble or a wobbly dribble with his left hand. He's trolling everybody. Season gonna start. He gonna show out because ain't no way he can go into the season and let that be the tagline over his head that he got no left hand. Because like I told you earlier, the players will be yelling that at him. The fans will be yelling that at him, and you know he just got to be ready for it because it's gonna come his way all season long in different arenas. So hope he's ready for that.
Yeah, I think he's built for it. This so you can't base everything off media day. Everyone says things on media day. Next month we won't even remember anything to say. But he said this is the hardest he's worked out, and everything like that. So you just hope that left hand was getting a lot of work because, like you were saying, teams are gonna yell out, "Yo,
Absolutely,
go to your left. Yo, take him to his left.
Force him left. Force him left."
Caleb Martin, when they were interviewing him in a podcast, they were like, "Yo, what was the gameplay with JB?" It was like, force him left. Make him go left. That is embarrassing when you got a Caleb Martin.
Sad.
Just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You a $330 million dude. You can't let no Caleb Martins just be like, yeah, we can just. You shouldn't have no weakness like that in your offensive game.
No.
It just can't happen.
Not when you're an all NBA player. You can't let somebody, an all NBA player, just go be like, oh, just force him left, and that's how you can stop him. That's bad.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's real bad.
The way someone needs to stop you at all NBA is a double.
Yeah.
That we have to send a double to stop them.
Exactly.
So that's scary, but I think JB will take another leap. I think, just even if it's just leadership wise, Celtics need that. You look at this roster now, Mike. You got Drew, White, JB, JT, Porzingis, Al Horford.
6 right there. Okay.
That's 6. Right there with that 6. Is that the best 6 in the NBA?
Oh man. On paper, yeah. I think on paper, yeah. Because I'm really trying to wrap my head around other teams who are built like that. And I'm thinking, who are the other best teams in the league? If you look at the East.
Warriors. Okay, at the East, you got Milwaukee.
You look at the East, Milwaukee. Giannis, Middleton, Dame. Then you're going to tell me Portis? Portis and Lopez?
Yeah.
If I'm taking the Celtics kind of over that if we're talking about the top players on the team.
Yep.
You look at the next best team in the East. Philly, Embiid, Tobias.
Next. Once you said Tobias next.
So you see where I'm going here. Celtics got all-star. White was
second team all
defense. And Horford's a former all-star. So that's 5 all-star players, and then 2 of the dudes in that 6 are all NBA defensive players. That's pretty tough.
Crazy.
That's pretty tough. Now, will that translate into like a championship or automatic NBA Finals appearance? Remains to be seen. But on paper, you're talking about all NBA players, all defensive players and all-stars as your top 6 on a team. Granted, Horford about 45, but his resume speaks loudly. It's pretty tough.
I was just, Horford has done miracles these past 2 years.
Found a fountain of youth. I can't lie.
Yes, last year fell off drastically, but that's what he's supposed to look like.
Yeah. Yep.
The fact that in the past 2 seasons, and damn near last year, he led the league in 3-point shooting, him and Brogdon, like it's quite astonishing. So they're holding on to a little bit of what they can get out of Horford, but now if you move on from the 6, I know this is your main concern with the Boston Celtics currently is what do we have after that 6? So you have Pritchard. You know that you have Hauser. Those are the 2 that played last year, pretty much. And then it's roll them and figure it out. You got Svi. You have Larry Stevens, who I have high hopes for. You have Wayne Gabriel that they just brought in for the training camp contract. They brought in another guy from Sacramento. I gotta go get his name. They got your boy from Toronto,
and Jordan Walsh.
And they got the rookie Jordan Walsh. So they have a lot of different type of players. I think Pritchard, this is his big chance to really carve out a solid role for himself. It's open. It is wide open.
The minutes will be there
for him to really, this is what his 4th year. His 4th year in the league, I believe. Time is flying.
Yeah.
This is time for him to really, take a role for himself. One, so everyone can know he's a solid backup point guard, and whenever his contract's done with the Celtics, he can make some money, but also be someone who can help win a playoff game for the Celtics. They tried to spring that upon him last year, and it was just tough. He didn't have enough minutes. He wasn't in rhythm, and he couldn't get that. I think Pritchard has a big chance now to be that. Hauser was hot to start off the year. Oh my God! The one of the big reasons Celtics went on that huge winning spree was because Hauser was a force.
Yep.
You brought Hauser in, he just didn't miss at all. Then he cooled off as most shooters do, but never really found that rhythm after that. Can he become a little more consistent? Can he be better on the defensive end as well? He wasn't horrible at defense, but keep those minutes. I think Larry Stevens brings a toughness to this team that was missed, and I could see him being a Jay Crowder type for this Celtics team.
Forgot about the Brissett guy from Indiana.
Oh, I forgot about O'Shea Brissett. O'Shea Brissett's another guy who can bring some toughness. He's a little undersized, but that's what we're known for here in Boston is undersized man. He can take a Grant Williams role. I don't think he's that great of a shooter as Grant, but as someone that can crash, bring toughness, get rebounds, I think O'Shea can try to carve some roles. Something that I wanted high hopes for my guy Kabengele, but he's just a two-way man at the moment. So maybe O'Shea can bring in that factor. But when you look at this bench, what brings you concern?
Yeah, I mean, like we just stated, top 6, very good. But with that top 6, there's some slight injury concerns. Porzingis, Horford, slightly. I know Drew's dealt with some injuries a little bit over his career. JB sometimes a little bit. But overall injuries can happen. You never know in the NBA or sports in general. My whole thing with the bench and the depth, I look at all those guys we just listed, and I always had wished and hoped that, like, yes, I understand with most lineups, Celtics are most likely going to keep Tatum and Brown out on that court with whatever type of lineup they throw out there. But, God forbid, one of them go down or both of them go down. I always wanted this team to see if they can just have one other guy on the team who can just put the ball. You could put the ball in their hands, and they can maybe go get a play.
I think the opposite this year because of the top six. I can see Tatum and Brown not being on the court and with the lead and being fine. I can see Drew Holiday and Porzingis being in there with the bench group. I could see Drew and Derek White being in there with the bench. I think now with this um top heavy team, you have flexibility to the point where you don't need to have either a Jason Tatum and or a Jaylen Brown on the court. With obviously you would like to have that just to have some scoring balance in there. But I think with Drew and Porzingis, they're better offensive weapons than a Marcus Smart and a Rob Williams.
True. But and while I do hear that, I just feel in terms of if you look at wing players on the team after Tatum and Brown, my dream or hope was they can bring another wing who can somewhat be a scoring punch off the bench. Because yes, we named Brissett and Hauser and Stevens, and these guys are defensive guys or 3-and-D guys, catch and shoot guys, however you want to describe them. You know, for a while during the offseason, they were looking at some names like I know Oubre was available. They was talking about possibly looking at Oubre. They was talking about possibly looking at a TJ Warren at times. And I looked at those two names and I'm like, yeah, if Celtics can have a TJ Warren or Kelly Oubre off the bench, you know, behind a Tatum and Brown to get some wing minutes, a guy who you can put the ball in their hands and go get something. Absolutely. Now, obviously, this is way before Drew came to the team. But I still feel in terms of depth at that wing, if they had another somewhat of a shot creator and not just the guys behind Tatum and Brown being a bunch of just straight defense or straight catch and shoot, I think that would add a little bit more depth. But I think right now, again, like we said, looking at this top six, if they stay healthy, you know, you can have different versions of the lineup out there where, yeah, maybe that includes not having Tatum and Brown on the court at all. I doubt that's going to happen much, but let Porzingis and Drew Holiday and Derek White be out there with a Brissett and a Hauser or some whatever variation. It's possible. Healthy and everybody clicking on all cylinders, it's possible, and you can still get production because now the offense can comfortably, and I say that word like comfortably, go through a Drew Holiday and a Porzingis when last year you had this hope that maybe Smart can go out there and get some buckets. And I mean, you had Brogdon, he was also doing his thing, but Smart was the guy that they somewhat relied upon a lot, or not even they relied upon. He took it upon himself to be that guy when he really shouldn't have been. But you can comfortably say, hey, Porzingis and Drew Holiday and a little bit of Derek White, hold it down because we trust your decision making out there on the court.
But Mike, while you were talking, something I was thinking about was the point guard situation. I think the Celtics are the only team that I can think of in the past 6-7 years have gone through a Rolodex of point guards trying to win a championship. Obviously, you had the Isaiah Thomas years, got to conference finals with him. After that, you get Kyrie. Kyrie thing doesn't work out. You bring in your boy, Kemba Walker.
My boy.
That's your boy. After the Kemba thing, after he got shipped off in the middle of the playoffs, then they said, no, what, we'll finally bring in Marcus Smart as the point guard. Marcus did all right, but they said he's going to need help. So they brought in Malcolm Brogdon. It just didn't work out with that. So gone. And now you have Drew Holiday. That is 6 point guards in a span of a few years of just trying to win a championship. It's gone to the point. If you're a point guard for the Boston Celtics, you don't win a chip. You might as well start packing your bags. You're out of town.
The sad thing is, you named 6 of those guys. 2 of those guys were supposed to work out for sure. Kyrie was supposed to work out until he lied and wanted to get the hell up out of here. And then we traded for Kemba, we signed Kemba Walker. They signed Kemba Walker in offseason, and he just like broke down instantly. So Kyrie was supposed to be here long term. That's what he said. He changed his mind. And Kemba just broke down instantly, which made no sense. So those 2 were definitely supposed to work out. Smart, there was always question about, is he a point guard or not? But, you know, it is what it is. And I was saying before, Brogdon, I had no issue with Brogdon being on his team. And obviously, for whatever reason, Brad Stevens felt it just wasn't the right fit because if you ask me, he should have went into this upcoming season on the team, but I'm gonna let Brad Stevens cook. And so far, Brad Stevens seemed like he got things figured out in terms of building his team. So I'm gonna let him cook. And you have Jrue Holiday now at 33 years old. How long is he gonna continue to play at the level he's been playing at the last couple of seasons? Remains to be seen. Because 33 years old, it's not old, but for the time, for most guys, is not too far away. So hopefully you can get another couple of years out of Jrue Holiday, because from all accounts, it seems like he wants to be here long term, and the Celtics want him long term. So I feel like Brad Stevens has his guy, the point guard who is going to help.
You saw him cheesing
Yeah,
today?
if Brad Stevens feel like he has his guy,
That
finally.
boy was cheesing.
I thought he felt that way about Brogdon, but I guess we were all wrong. But I think right now he truly feels like he has the right point guard to be next to Jason and Jaylen. And with that, championship in banner 18 shouldn't be too far away.
Man, so before we get you out of here, Mike Nice, preseason starts up Sunday. I think the first preseason game is this Sunday. What are you looking for during this preseason? Who are you having your eye on?
Two things I definitely want to see. Well, three things, I guess. One, how Jrue Holiday obviously looks in green. Two, Porzingis. Porzingis is going to be the third option on this team. Jrue Holiday is great. Everybody's happy about this signing, but in terms of like offensive threats and weapons, Porzingis is that third guy who should be able to go out there and be the next guy that can maybe on some nights get you 20 plus points. And then third, and it could be the most important, who off the bench is going to be reliable? You said Hauser and Pritchard. Those are two guys that were there last year who got minutes here and there. But the Bantons, the Stevens, the Brissetts, the whoever else, some of the guys, I don't even know their names yet. I got to learn them as the season goes on. And with preseason coming up, I probably will. But who's going to be those reliable guys off the bench that can be consistent shooters from the outside, obviously, can help to get easy buckets when Tatum and Brown are kicking it off, and Jrue Holiday, who can be relied upon off the bench? Because as the season goes, you got those top six, but you're going to have to play more than six guys every night. So who's going to be those next gentlemen up to step up and give this team something that can hopefully lead to a championship season? So it's preseason, it's early, but it's plenty of time to figure things out. But my eyes are going to be on those three things for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking to see Pritchard. I want to see what Pritchard, how he gets acclimated, how he gets used into this offense, whether he's going to be used as an off guard or a point guard. Like to see how that happens. Also, I want to see a defensive tone to start off the preseason. I don't care if it's preseason. I want to see defense go back to being the Celtics' identity. 2 years ago with Ime, watching this team really get into it defensively once they figured it out. Because I remember us, Mike, even when Ime first got here, we were like, this switching thing might not work. You might need to switch it up, but Ime stuck to his guns, and the season turned around. So Celtics still do that switching defense. They just don't do it well. So I want to see them really get back to that defensive identity with this team. And those are the two main things really during the preseason. Mike Nice, man, appreciate you hopping on here. I know you in like six basketball leagues, so to get you on a night like this is rare. So I appreciate you, my guy.
I ain't in the league, but I'm trying to see what I can get out of these legs while I still have them. So trying to stay active. But yeah, man, this basketball season now, can't wait for things to get tipped off. Not only just with the Celtics, but NBA, maybe a couple fantasy leagues. We'll see how I'm feeling. But can't wait to get things popping with the league, man.
Definitely, man. So that's Mike Nice. You obviously know that's one half of the leadership of Double M Media. We always to the moon. My G. Be easy.
Appreciate you, man.
Number 18 goes to a guy. If I could model my game after any type of NBA player, it would have to be Paul George. One of my favorite basketball players right now. Silky smooth, can give you buckets in any way possible. And honestly, he deserves to be in the top 10 to 15 range. I think last year I had him at either somewhere between 11 and 12. I had him somewhere around there last year, but missed 61 games the year prior. Last year he only played 45 games, missed the last 14, didn't play in the playoffs. It's tough. It's really tough for me to put him in the top 15 currently. So we have him at number 18. Let's talk about him a little bit, man. Average 24, 6, and 5 on 59% true shooting this year. I want to break down some of these stats here. 1.04 points per possession in the pick and roll. That's 73rd percentile. 1.07 points per possession in the ISO. That's 74th in percentile. And in 1.07 points per possession in the post. That's 63rd percentile. This guy gets buckets any way you need it in the half court situation. 1.18 in spot up situation. That is excellent. So although all of those things are really great, what was interesting is he only made 38% of pull up jumpers. And you want to compare that to KD. KD's at 55%, which is number one. But Paul George just takes a lot of tough shots. A lot of tough shots that he doesn't need to take. And another reason why he takes all those tough shots is he doesn't go to the rim as much as he could. When you think about Paul George on the Clippers when he brought them to the conference finals, a reason why he was so dominant is he went to the rack so many times. I think that's dropped a little bit. And you look at this year, he has 2.5 makes in the restricted area on 69%, which is really good. And if he could do that more often, his pull-up jumpers and the shots that he takes will be less. He made 433 pull-up jumpers. That's 43% of his shots. If he attacks the rim more, a lot of those shots will be easier. If you look at a guy like KD, the reason why he could take so many pull-up jumpers, he sees over everybody. There's not really a bad shot for KD because it's no one that can really guard him. Paul George, he's 6'8", 6'9" on a good day maybe. But when he's facing a Mikal Bridges or Herb Jones, these guys are just his size. They're going to force him into tough shots. And I think that he can definitely move around that. But Paul George is elite, a great playmaker. Defensively, he's actually taken a step back. I think if he can recommit himself into the defensive end, the Clippers will be very, very dangerous. But health is always the issue with that team. Health's been the issue with Paul George. Health's been the issue with Kawhi. Kawhi's another guy who's on this list that I've been struggling on where to place him. Because as dominant as he is, once again, he's a guy who doesn't really play much. So he's been a struggle for me. But Paul George, number 18 on this list. Let me know what you guys think. Number 17 also plays the same position as PG. And although I don't necessarily think this guy is better than Paul George, he's much more reliable. He's led his teams to conference finals, led his teams to finals, two games away of winning the finals. It's Jaylen Brown, man. And I know this, allow me to take some time on this one because I get it, the $330 million contract. What happened against Miami? We're gonna talk about that. But let me cook for a second. Career highs all across the board, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists were all career highs. He was one of only 5 players to average 26, 6, and 3. You ask me, he's a more creative shot creator than JT because of his mid-range, because he can shoot so well from the 3, and he drives to the basket. How much does he drive to the basket? Listen, he gets most of his shots from transitions and spot-ups. 495 of his points were off transitions, which is the 3rd most in the NBA. Can y'all guess who the other 2 are? Off of transitions, JB was 3rd in the NBA. And then he was 20th in spot up. And those are very advantageous situations. What did Miami do? Miami cut off the transition points. So while JB was averaging mainly like 8 points off of just transitions, Miami cut that to 3.5. Took away the transition points for him. And then JB's shot just was broken. During that series, his shot wasn't going down. Confidence was a big part of it. He lost all type of confidence with that. And there was different ways on how they did it because obviously to start off this series they had the Kyle Lowrys, the Caleb Martins, the Gabe Vincents on JB, smaller guys that JB should have never let disrupt him. But everyone likes to talk about the ball handling. And to be honest, I don't think JB is a bad ball handler. I don't. I've seen him. I watch him all the time. This is one of my. So doing research on this was interesting because I watch this guy every day. JB is not a bad ball handler, but he exposes the ball too much. Reason I like guys like Anthony Edwards, who we have on this list, guys like LeBron James, who are not the greatest ball handlers, who are not shifty, but they're athletic, they're big, and they use their body. JB needs to get his once the ball gets in his hands, post the defender up, put his back against the defender. He exposes the ball too much, he dribbles too much, where he should just be taking 2 steps and get into the rack. So little things like he's still young, he still has chances to fix that, but exposing the ball is what really hurts them. And situations in the playoffs where they're more physical, where you can hit players more and really get into them. So I think that's something JB should really work on. Because from a guy that's averaging 27 points when he played Miami, he averaged 19 points, had more turnovers than assists, went 7 for 43 from the three. I get that is ugly. But let's think about the first 2 rounds. Let's think about last year's playoffs. So we can't let one series define Jaylen Brown, who's been so good for the Celtics. Is so good in the NBA currently, and I'm expecting a better year. He needs to reconnect himself in the defensive end. I think that's one thing if he wants to move up on this list. Defensively, he's taken a couple steps back on ball and off the ball. Reconnect himself defensively, being that dog that he can be. And there's going to be a lot more responsibility on JB this year. So I'm expecting a leap. But he's a really good player, man. I know that Miami series was crazy. I understand it wasn't a good look, especially Jason Tatum leaving in the game 7, and it was all eyes on him. But by then his confidence was shot. And I'm expecting more and better from JB. So he's number 17. All right, moving on up. If I told you there was a player that averaged 26, 6, and 7 on 60% true shooting in the NBA Finals, what would you tell me? You say, well, that player's got to be a top 10 guard in the NBA. He must have won Finals MVP. Who would you think of? And that player would be Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, coming off this season, averaged 24 and 6 on 57% true shooting, but he showed flashes during the season, scoring more than 25 points 18 times. And then when the playoffs hit, boy, monster. In the playoffs, he was 26, 6, and 7. In the sweep against the Lakers, he averaged 33.6 rebounds and 5 assists on 65% true shooting. That's ridiculous. He was legitimately the second best player on the championship team. And I know, look, number 16 is wild. Number 16 is very high on this list, but the 10th guy and the 20th guy, there's little room of error. They're all so close in my opinion, but I got to reward winning. I have to reward winning, and Jamal Murray is a huge part of Denver's championship. Yes, Jokic is a monster. Like, no question. But Jamal Murray, they don't go nowhere without him. Playmaking and scoring, no one performed better in the playmaking scoring position than Jokic, his teammate, and De'Aaron Fox, who did it for one series. He was a legitimate superstar this postseason. Pick and roll points per possession, he was in first place in the postseason. Now, the one thing about Murray is now we got to see it in the regular season. We got to see if he wants to break into that top 15, top 10 type of player. You got to do it in the regular season. That's what all of his peers do. They do it night in and night out. He's recovered from that injury. He's had a monster postseason. Now let's see it during the season. Remember during the bubble, he had that crazy run. Everyone was like, "What? That's it. Saying like Jamal Murray." But now he's shown he's like that. So we want to see it in the regular season. Also, take another step defensively, or take a step defensively. He was a problem. He got attacked. Although they swept the Lakers were able to attack him defensively. He needs to take another step to really commit himself defensively if he wants to, become that top tier player. If you look at a Devin Booker, when he came into the league, he was a zero defensively. Now, he's not no defensive stopper or anything, but you got to account for him defensively. He's going to be there. So I like to see Jamal Murray take that next step, but I think number 16 is the perfect spot for him. Ooh, number 15 goes to my guy. I know I say this all the time. This is one of my favorite players. No, this is my favorite player. Number 15. And this could be controversial as well because this is high, but I believe this wholeheartedly. Anthony Edwards. That boy is good. He had career highs in all categories. 25, 6, and 4, and 56% true shooting. But in the playoffs against the champs, spiked up to 32, 5, and 5 on 60% true shooting. Even last year against the Memphis Grizzlies, one of the best defensive teams at that time, his numbers went up. So in 11 games, at the age of 21, in the playoffs, Anthony Edwards averages 28, 5, and 4 assists on 60% true shooting. In the regular season, the Timberwolves are 5 points better when he's on the floor. And in the playoffs, they are 13 points better when he's on the floor. That is disgusting. And what makes him so great is just his athleticism. I think we all know that. But I'm not just talking about like Westbrook, Ja Morant athleticism. I'm talking about size and strength. In the new NBA that we're in right now, you talk about everything's moving out to the perimeter. You can't move him out his spot. Offensively, you can't move him. Defensively, you can't move him as well. I think my favorite thing about Anthony Edwards is that how good he is on ball defensively. His on ball defense is crazy. If he wants to lock down a guy, he will do that. And you pair that up with a Jaden McDaniels, those two can be really scary for years to come. What hurts him is off-ball defense. He's not a good off-ball defender at all. That needs a lot of work. He overhelps. He misses the box outs. So those things need to work. And he has tunnel vision offensively. I think Timberwolves fans, they probably agree with this. And they see that once he has the ball in his hand, sometimes he just sees the basket and nothing else. 4 assists on 3 turnovers. I think that can be a lot better. If you look like a guy like Ja Morant, who plays a very similar style to Anthony Edwards, just doesn't have the build. The reason he gets so many assists is once he attacks, he's looking to dish. You attack, you collapse the defense, and you kick it out. Anthony Edwards adds that to his game. He can easily average 6 or 7 assists, and that will expand his game even better. I'd like to see that more from him. And he's a monster, man, in the restricted area. 4.2 makes on 64% shooting. 64% shooting in the restricted area for a guard is good. And for Anthony Edwards, it could be better. It could get to 68, 69. I think he needs to. The thing is low for him is because he just goes there and attacks the rim, bro. He doesn't give a damn. He's just there to try to attack. If he could add a little floater to his game, something like that, I think that will help out his percentages. I think it could get even higher. And that's why we talked about Paul George earlier. And I was saying that Paul George takes tough shots because he doesn't attack as much. It's kind of different for Anthony Edwards. He can get uncontested pull-up jumpers due to the fact that defenders are always on their heels, not knowing whether he's going to attack or not. So those are little things about Anthony Edwards that I like. I think this year he's going to have a huge leap. We saw him on Team USA. He was obviously the guy. I think the sky's the limit for him, bro. He's only 21. That still amazes me. Anthony Edwards, top 15. And I'm out, y'all. This was another great episode of the No Look Podcast. Catch you guys real soon when we break down the list some more.